Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our final workshop session. We'll wait for a few minutes just to see if everybody is able to join, anybody else is able to join. I hope I'm audible to you. Today, can you hear me? Can you see the slides on the screen? Okay, let's start for the day then. If there are more people who'd like to join, we'll take them on as we go along. As we had discussed in yesterday's session, during which we had started our discussion on interview skills, we'd already looked at some broad categories of questions that we might receive in an interview. The first category was that of classic HR questions. Questions like, can you tell me a little bit about yourself? In order to answer classic HR questions, we also saw that we could use a present, past, future formula using which we can begin our answer in the present, detailing what responsibilities we handle at the moment, go back to our past, recount all the training that we have received, which enabled us or equipped us with the skills necessary to be able to handle the responsibilities which we take care of in the present, and then move on to the future and look at this job for which you're applying at the moment as the next logical step in your career. I'm just giving you a quick recap of what we discussed in yesterday's lecture. because I'm not sure how many of you were there yesterday. So, classic HR questions form one of the categories of questions which we receive in an interview. Another category is that of behavioral questions, questions which aim to assess our behavior in any given situation. These can appear quite triggering, maybe. They can be unsettling in some ways. Can you tell me about a time when you faced an unpleasant experience at work, for instance? And the question's intention is to figure out how this employee would conduct himself or herself in a situation that does not work in their favor. In order to answer a behavioral question, we can use a formula known as the STARS method. STARS is an abbreviation and it stands for situation, task, action, result, and skills. This is the STARS method. Just like we use the present, past, future formula in order to answer classic HR questions, we can use the STARS formula in order to find an answer or formulate an answer for a behavioral question. Right, now we move on. These are some general tips which will be useful to you in any interview. Instead of telling somebody that you have a skill or that you've received some kind of training, show them an example of a situation or of an instance where you have used that particular skill. Instead of saying, I am very proficient in Python, show them or explain to them, give the example of a project where you used Python. Okay? Because that would amply convey the fact that you are very proficient in using Python. This is what you mean by show rather than tell. Because the interviewers are looking for actual concrete instances rather than descriptions. When you are giving an answer to a question which has been posed to you in an interview, make sure that you do not get sidetracked. Do not rant. Answer to the question and keep your answer concise. Stay on topic. Do not babble all around the topic. Okay? It is also necessary when you are answering a question that you receive in an interview to make sure that your answer has a logical conclusion to it. For example, in the STARS method, we conclude by highlighting the skills that we demonstrated in that particular situation. We conclude by also drawing the employer's attention to the results that we achieved. In the present, past, future formula, we conclude by asserting that this job position would be the next logical step in your career, that this would be very advantageous to somebody who is as ambitious as you are. So your answer should end. It should have a neat, a graspable, a logical conclusion to it. And the interviewer should be able to easily see that this is what you are trying to convey. You should also make sure that your answers resonate with your prospective employer. This employer has a set of needs which he has already outlined in the job description. So they're saying, we want a candidate who can do this, and this. So when you formulate your answer, show them that you are capable of doing this, and this. which means that you are bringing to the table a set of skills which align perfectly with the needs of that organization. In other words, you would be a valuable asset to that company. Okay? So make sure that your answers resonate with the employer. This is a small activity which I would like you to take part in. This is a situation that is described on the slide. I'll read it out for you. You have a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from a technical institute in India, and you have also pursued a research internship in Denmark. You've worked for 2 years after your bachelor's at a company as a software developer. You are now looking to get into core data science. This is your background, okay? Now, let's imagine that I'm the interviewer here and I'm asking you, tell me a little bit about yourself. How would you answer this question? If this is your background, how would you formulate an answer to this question where I'm asking you to tell me a little bit about yourself? Can you try and craft a narrative out of all the information that is available to you? Can you take 2 minutes, prepare an answer, and then tell me that answer? Give me a response. Yes or no. It's okay if you do not want to talk right now, but I would really appreciate it if you would. Would anybody be willing to try?
I think that we should go on something like good morning or good evening, whatever the
Hmm.
time is. My name is this.
Hmm.
I have pursued my bachelor's in electrical engineering from Technical Institute in India,
Hmm.
and I have also pursued a research internship in Denmark.
Hmm.
I have worked for 2 years as a software developer,
Hmm.
and I am now currently looking to get into core data science. As I
Hmm.
have worked as a software developer, I do have knowledge of programming and how to combine it with maths. I would like to work on my skills in this company to I would like to work on developing my skills more in this company, something
Hmm.
like this.
That was a very good answer, Niharika. Thank you very much. Now, I also want you to notice how she didn't just stop with all the information on the screen. She also tried to give a reason as to why this candidate is now trying to get into core data science. That is, she was trying to make sure that her answer made logical sense. She anticipated that the employer would wonder why it is that a software developer is now trying to get into data science, right? And she was addressing that concern even before that question was raised. She asserted that she had the necessary expertise since she was a software developer already, and that she would like to further develop her skills in data science by taking up this opportunity. Very good answer, Niharika. Thank you very much. Now you get an idea about how you would formulate an answer to a tell me about yourself question. Right. A cover letter. It is an integral part of an application. Usually, we would submit a cover letter along with our resume. The first step before going into an interview is to conduct a self reassessment. A self reassessment implies that you understand what are your non negotiables. That is, There are some things on which you are not willing to compromise, and those things are very clear to you. Okay? These are your non negotiables. Before you go into a room to face an interview panel, you should be very clear about what your non negotiables are. You should also be very clear about what your strengths are. Okay? The next step is to thoroughly be aware of every bit of your resume, of your cover letter, and of the job description. Okay? So you need to go back, you need to revisit your cover letter, which you had submitted along with your resume at the time of your application. What does a cover letter consist of? There would be a subject line, there would be a salutation, an introduction. There begins the body of the letter, which will end with a conclusion, and then there will be a complimentary close. This is just the structure of a formal letter. Okay? So, what do we put into the body of a cover letter? You would say where you found this job posting, etc., all of the necessary things. And then you would say, you would argue, you would make a case for yourself in full sentences. Remember, a resume is just bulleted points. In a cover letter, you get a little more space to elaborate on why you are a good fit for this particular job. So you would have covered your qualifications, your relevant skills and experience relevant to this particular job, that is, in the cover letter. You need to revisit that cover letter so as to understand what elements of your career, what elements of your life you would like to highlight in this interview. So you decide beforehand what are the things that you want your interviewer to take note of. And then you prioritize those elements, those attributes in the answers that you give. You would also have written in your cover letter your long term goals and how well these goals align with the values espoused by this company. Once again, you need to revisit that so that you can leverage all of that in the form of your interview answers. This is the format of a cover letter, a general format. It's the exact same format as that of any formal letter. This is just given here for your reference. Look here. You are writing here where you found the job posting, what is the position for which you're applying. You are also detailing your relevant work experience. You've run numerous successful email marketing campaigns. What are some of the results that you've produced? Raise our total online engagement by an impressive 13% over the course of 6 months. So these are the kind of things that you would clearly outline in a cover letter. This is what is known as a complimentary close. You are signing off formally. This is just to give a quick idea about what a cover letter is. Okay, I've got a question. Just a second. Okay, I'm not able to see the chat box. Could you just ask the question?
What is the use of cover letter? Is it necessary?
Yes, for most job applications, a cover letter is necessary. Now, the idea of a cover letter is that you get a little more space to tell your employer or your hiring manager your motivation to apply for this job. There would be so many people applying for every available position. So they would be shortlisting you primarily on the basis of your resume, but also on the basis of the things that you have outlined in your cover letter. Sometimes the most qualified candidate might not be the best fit in an organization, but the most motivated candidate would be the best fit for an organization. So the cover letter is kind of like the place where you show that you are more than your resume, and also the place where you first it's almost like the only place where you get to argue that you make a great addition to this organization, or both in terms of your skill set and in terms of your value alignment with the company. You get to tell them how excited you are about taking on projects like the ones that are taken on by this organization. You can also say that there are several ways in which you would be able to contribute productively to such projects. You can give a description of the kind of skills you possess in order to be a valuable addition to that team. So, this is the space where you can make a case for yourself so that the employer can see that you're not just qualified, but you're also very driven. You're actively invested in this job opportunity. Is that clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Like we discussed in yesterday's session, you are not in the interview just to answer questions raised by the interviewer. You can also ask questions to the interviewer. However, these questions should not be premature questions. They should not be childish questions, inane questions. Don't ask those questions. The questions you ask should show your employer that you've done a significant amount of company research, that you very seriously intend to take on this job. So you can ask very discerning questions like, what are some of the opportunities that I would have for cross departmental progression? Cross departmental progression is when you start in one department, but gradually you move to a higher position in a different department. This often happens within organizations. So, if an organization values its employees, then it would identify your aptitude in a certain field or domain and allow you opportunities for cross departmental growth or progression. So, you can ask, are there any opportunities for cross departmental growth here in this organization? You can also ask questions like, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of this position? Okay? This shows that you don't just intend to join the company for the sake of your benefits. This shows that you intend to join the company in a manner of finding your own job meaningful. You want to make sure that the job that you do is rewarding, meaningful to yourself and to the rest of society. So you're asking your employer, would I just be doing the work of a machine, or would the job that I do here be meaningful in a larger sense? What would you say is the most rewarding aspect of my job here? You can also ask, you know how employers oftentimes ask, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Now, the reason they ask that question is to see whether your own career goals align with their organizational goals. Similarly, you can ask them, do you offer me any opportunities for career progression in, let's say, 2 years from now? That is, you want to convey to them that you are an ambitious person who wants to grow in his or her career. So you want to know whether this organization gives you ample space and opportunities for the kind of growth that you want. Where do you see me in 2 years or 5 years? Okay. What are my opportunities for career progression if I join this company? Will I have to stay in the same role or in the same position for several years? This is what you're trying to ask through this question. These are some very discerning questions, and these show that you are heavily invested in this opportunity. You can raise such questions to your employers. Once you've prepared for an interview adequately, you can write down your answers. You can even have a cheat sheet, a sheet on which you jot down the main points which you would like to communicate. However, like we discussed yesterday, the idea of writing down answers or preparing answers is not to memorize them and then to regurgitate them in front of the interviewer. The idea is to have a clear picture of the details that you would like to communicate so that when you are asked to speak, you can speak spontaneously. You're not just parroting information. Rather, you are putting together into sentences, into answers, details that you have already decided to communicate for the sake of this interview. The idea of having a cheat sheet is to ensure that you do not forget any crucial detail in the spur of the moment. Okay? You're not going to look into the sheet and read. You are going to speak spontaneously, but you can refer the cheat sheet if you feel like maybe you're going to forget something because you're a little too nervous. There are some non-verbal communication habits that all of us use. Your body language, for instance. The pace of your speech. Pace of speech is how fast we speak. All of these are things that we can control. There are other non-verbal habits like biting your nails, twisting your hair, drumming your fingers on the table. Tuck, 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 tuck. Your fingers will just go like that. You should be aware of these habits of yours. Oftentimes, when we are nervous, all of these habits will increase in frequency. Otherwise, we might just, bite our nail once in a while. But when we are nervous, we'll constantly bite our nail. When we are nervous, we'll constantly drum our fingers. Usually, we speak rather slowly. Everybody can understand what we are saying. But when we are nervous, we start speaking really fast. And nobody can understand what we are saying. All of these are going to work against you in an interview. So you should practice either with somebody else or by yourself. Looking into a mirror can be very helpful, but you should know what such habits which you practice are. And then you should try to control these habits. Maybe you can't eliminate these habits, but you can still minimize these habits. Okay? All of us use filler words or filler phrases in our speech. What are these filler words? Uh, uh, is a filler word. Is a filler word. I don't know. Is a filler word. Okay? Like is a filler word. Like is a very often used filler word. Like this, like that, like, so many likes in a single sentence, right? All of these are filler words that we all use in our speech. Once again, the focus should not be on eliminating them entirely from your speech. You might not be able to do that. And filler words are very normal occurrences, but they interfere with the pace of your speech, with the flow of your speech, right? So you should try to minimize them as well. Control your use of filler words. A very effective way to control your use of filler words is first of all just to have greater control over the pace of your speech. If you know that you tend to speak fast when you are nervous, Consciously, deliberately speak slower. Pause after each phrase so that you get a greater degree of control over the sentence that you are saying, both grammatically as well as, just structurally. So maybe even breath wise. Sometimes when you pause, it gives you some more time to draw your breath and thus to complete that sentence more effectively. When you have a greater degree of control over the sentence that you are saying, you can also, instead of using take a small pause. Not a long pause, but a small pause. 1 second, maybe 2 seconds. Instead of saying or like, we pause, take a breath, think, continue with the sentence. It's called a thought pause. Okay? So if you are speaking rather slowly and you need to pause for a second, it will not appear awkward and you will be able to minimize the use of filler words and phrases. Is that clear to everybody? Is that clear to everybody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. You've done everything that you could possibly do. Finally, the day of the interview is here. What are the things that you should remember? You need to dress appropriately. Now, what does appropriately mean? It means dress for the job. You will know what kind of job it is that you have applied for. You will know what kind of organization this is. Depending on the kind of organization this is, you need to match your attire to the job description you have. You need to match everything to the job description. Match your answers to the job description, match your resume to the job description, and even match your attire to the job description. Okay? It shows that you are being professional. You need to enunciate your words slowly and clearly, and you should be loud enough. Enunciate is the clarity of your pronunciation. Okay? So you clearly pronounce your words such that nobody has trouble understanding what it is that you're saying. At the same time, you do not have to put on an accent. All of us speak in different accents that are typical to Indian English. Each region has a different accent. So your focus should not be on speaking like the Americans. Rather, your focus should be on enunciating your words clearly. Be clear with your words, regardless of what accent you speak in. Do not slouch. What is slouching? Slouching is when your shoulders are stooped forward. You're sitting hunched on a chair, right? Instead of sitting down hunched on a chair, you need to sit up straight with your shoulders straight. That shows that you're active and interested. If your interview is going to be held online, you need to make sure that there is eye contact. You need to look into the camera. If there is a panel of interviewers, look at everybody alternatively. If this is a physical interview and there is a panel of interviewers, make sure that you are moving your eye across the room, but not in a frantic manner. For example, don't just move your eye from person to person after every word. Instead, look at somebody, say a sentence, look at the next person, go on with your answer. Maybe pause there, then you would get your next question. And when you're answering your next question, look at somebody else on the panel. Make sure that you feel everyone on the panel addressed. Don't look down, Don't look at the wall. Don't dart all over the place. Don't allow your eyes to dart all over the place. Okay? Sometimes it's very possible that we will give a very bad answer to a question. Absolutely bad answer. Okay? It's very important to not get stuck up on it. Move forward. Drop all thought of that answer and get ready to address the next question. Don't just keep thinking about the answer that went downhill. Think about the next question. You should focus on the next answer. Okay? During the interview, there are some things that you should be careful about. You shouldn't appear like you're low on energy. At the same time, you should not appear hyperactive. Your answers should not be vague, but they also do not have to be hyper specific. You do not have to add information that is not relevant or necessary to the answer. You should not appear disinterested, but you should also not appear as if you're too desperate for to win the approval of the interview panel. You shouldn't appear underconfident, but you should also not appear arrogant. You should not appear as if you're too full of yourself. Do not undersell your skills. You should also not oversell your skills. If you have a skill, make sure that you highlight it adequately. If you do not have a skill, do not claim that you have that skill. If you have a skill, make sure that you do not end up erasing that skill from your answers. You need to bring up that skill. Don't forget to bring it up in your answer. Sometimes people are very stiff. They don't move, they're not comfortable, they don't speak naturally in front of an interview panel. All of these are negatives, okay? You should be comfortable and you should be at ease and you should appear confident. You might not be, you might be very nervous, but you should have that nervousness under control. That is what we are saying. Let's say you get called to several interviews because you're so excellent. Okay? So you've passed all of those interviews with flying colors. Now you have like an array of offers in front of you. How do you decide which one to pick? What a nice conundrum to have, right? What job do I pick? I have so many offers. What do I pick? Right? In case you are here in this situation, think about how much you value that job. Obviously, you need to think about salary, perks, benefits, etc. So, whichever works best for you, you can choose that. But if those things are also the same, then choose the opportunity that interests you the most, that makes you feel the most rewarded. Okay? If you feel like you're underqualified or overqualified for a job, it is preferable to not take that job because you would not feel like you fit in with that company culture. You would have to work with different people in that department, right? If you feel like going to the office in person would help you make a decision, do not hesitate to do that. Go to the office, take a look at your workplace, meet people if you want, and then decide on whether the offer is worth taking up. For example, in my second job, I spent almost a month at my workplace before I actively took on the job. So during that month, there wasn't an official probation period, there wasn't an official training period. During that month, I got to really familiarize myself with the processes that I would have to handle so that I could, when I took on my responsibility, dispense those responsibilities much better. Right. Once again, prioritize the things that are not negotiable to you. What are the things that you're not willing to compromise on? Which of these employers most values my non negotiables? That would be the ideal opportunity for you. These are your takeaways from this workshop on interview skills. You should research and reassess both yourself and the company before you head into an interview. You should know yourself, your CV or your resume, and the job description inside out. You can anticipate most questions that you would receive in an interview. You can prepare answers for these questions, but do not memorize these answers. You can also use the interview as an opportunity to get to know more about your role and the company. Ensure that you appear confident, articulate, and that you take the effort to match the energy of the interviewers. If it is like a very somber panel of interviewers, do not make any flippant remarks in front of them. Make sure that you conduct yourself seriously, right? Once you get offers, carefully consider your options and choose the one that best suits you. This is a small activity. I want all of you to take like 2 or 3 minutes to prepare a short presentation about yourself. I want you to prepare this answer by focusing on your academic background, your academic pursuits, any academic projects that you've done. Okay? All of those things can figure in it. Your degree, the projects that you've done, any scholarships that you've received, all of these can come under your academic pursuits. Using your academic pursuits, I want you to outline your skill sets, your subject matter expertise, and your technical proficiency as if I am your employer. Maybe I'm asking you, why should I hire you? Okay? As if you're answering a question like that, I want you to prepare an answer focusing on your academic pursuits. After you prepare that answer, you can present that in front of everybody else. I would like for you to speak out, but if you can't speak out, you can also write it in the chat box. Did everybody understand the question? Did everybody understand the question? You don't have to worry. Just try to prepare an answer. If you do not want to speak, that is also fine. But try and speak. Because unless you speak, it would not be a workshop on communication skills, you see. Okay, so you guys have understood the question. Take 2 or 3 minutes, work on your answers, focus on your academic pursuits, highlight your skill sets, your subject matter expertise, and your technical proficiency. I'll ask you after 2 or 3 minutes. Please do not leave the meeting if you do not want to speak. It's perfectly fine if you do not want to speak, but stay on and listen to what the others are saying so that you get a quick idea of what we're talking about. While you're preparing your answers, let me also tell you that I have put two links in the chat box. These are the links to the resume writing workshop that we had last week. So if anybody missed those sessions, you can access those videos through these links. These are the recorded sessions. Yesterday, some of you had told me that you had trouble accessing the recorded sessions from the course portal. So you will not be given access to the playlist link, to the playlist. You will have to copy the link, paste it on the browser window, paste it in the browser window, and then access the videos from YouTube. I was told, I discussed this, and I was told that you would not be given access like that. You would have to access the recorded sessions from YouTube using these links. Is that clear to everybody? Okay, right. Anybody ready with their answer? Anybody who wants to answer can answer. Okay, Mantasha has given us an answer. I'll read it out for you. Hello, my name is Mantasha. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm sorry if I'm not. And I'm currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in data science from IIT Madras. I am in the foundation level, currently in term 2, where I'm studying mathematics, statistics, programming in Python, and English. Apart from academics, I have a keen interest in graphic design and freelancing, and I have recently started offering my services on Fiverr. I'm also exploring data analytics and looking forward to gaining hands on experience through internships. I am always. Okay, I feel like the answer got cut off. Mantasha, can you send the rest? That's a very good answer. She has clearly outlined the kind of training that she has received so far. I am always eager to learn new skills and apply them to real world projects. Yes, very good. She has also described the things that she has interest in, the several ways in which she might be able to productively add to the projects that are entrusted to her. She's also shown a keen interest to learn new skills and to grow in her career by taking on this new position. Very good, Mantasha. So I hope those of you who are not speaking are also able to see this answer and understand how you can formulate an answer. Anybody else who would like to try? Would anyone else like to try either in the chat box or by speaking up? How about Saubhagya? Would you like to try? If you do not want to speak, that's fine. But would you like to try? Okay, I'm guessing nobody else wants to speak up here. That's all right. Thank you, Mantasha, for volunteering. I hope you get an idea though. What are your academic pursuits? What are your skill sets? How has that made you an expert in certain areas? What kind of proficiency do you bring to the table? All of these are ways in which you can address a question like, why should we hire you? Okay? Right. That is the end of today's session. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise them. You're welcome, Mantasha. Any questions? Any clarifications? Do you want me to say anything else in relation to interview skills? Okay, then we'll conclude for the day. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. I hope this was useful to you. I really hope that someday when you go into an interview, you will remember at least some of these things and that it would help you on that day. All the best, and that'll be it for today. Is adding non academic interests important? If you are referring to Mantasha's answer, yes, those kind of non academic interests can be very beneficial because she's not, giving you something like, I like to sing songs. She's giving you examples of things that interest her, but they're also her skill sets. You know, she's saying that she likes to do graphic designing. That is most certainly a skill. So, this non academic interest is still very relevant in an interview because she is outlining her skills. In that sense, yes, that is important. But if you are trying to say, I also like to run and play football, when it is not relevant, that would not be required. Okay? It depends on the context. What kind of skill set are you highlighting when you say that you have a non academic interest, for instance? You have an interest in researching climate change and its impact globally. Very good. Okay? So if you are applying for a job position where highlighting this interest in researching climate change and its impact globally would work in your favor, is this in alignment with the company's perspective or with the projects that this company has undertaken? In that case, you can certainly mention that skill, that interest. Okay. It should author. Um, it should align with their goals. It should align with the company's perspective, values, culture, etc. If there are specific climate related projects that this company handles, for instance, you can say that you have an interest in researching climate change, and you can say that in a project like such and such, which has been undertaken by this company, I think I would be able to give sizable and valuable contributions. Clear? Is that clear? Okay. All right then. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening.